welcome to HITC Sport. Right, it's almost impossible to predict 10 years into the future, but let's try and take a look at every Premier League manager and try and see where they're going to be in March 2030. Mikel Arteta, Barcelona B. Yeah, so Mikel Arteta is supposed to be the next big thing in management, right? He's hailed as the visionary to finally revive a stagnant Arsenal. But why? Is it literally just because he spent 3 years sitting on the bench beside Pep? Well, I have news for you lads. Paul Clement spent nearly a decade serving as right-hand man to Carlo Ancelotti, a 3-time European champion. And I wouldn't trust him to mind my non-existent cat. Listen, Arteta might prove me wrong and go on to become a world-class manager. But right now, I'm predicting a 47-year-old Spaniard, who by then will be bald, having spent 3 years pulling his hair out on a daily basis. I'm predicting him to be back at the new camp, coaching the Barcelona B team. So essentially, when this man should be at the peak of his powers, he'll just be getting paid a handsome wage to mind the kids. And Mikel, if you're turning your nose up with that, well, my cousin works at a creche down a local bowling alley, and she just gets paid in jammy donuts. So Mikel, be grateful. When you're making annual 6-figure sums to babysit Messi's son, Christ, can you imagine how protected that kid's gonna be at the club? If you even raise your voice to him as a manager, you'll probably be sacrificed on a bonfire at Messi's request. Dean Smith Walsall. Okay, for those of you annoyed that I'm predicting a return to Walsall for Dean Smith, lads, I'm not sure how long you realise 10 years actually is. If you don't believe me, of the 20 managers who began the 10-11 season coaching Premier League clubs, do you know how many of them are still in the league? Three bastard coaches. So me predicting League One with Walsall by 2030, it shouldn't be seen as an insult towards Dean Smith. It's just reality. I mean, 10 years ago, Owen Coyle was viewed as a semi-decent manager, and he currently works in Indian football second tier. A lot can change in a decade, lads. Eddie Howe, Charlton Athletic. Christ, in 10 years' time, Eddie Howe will be in his bastard 50s and will probably still get ID'd whenever he goes down the pub. How does he look so goddamn young? Does he just inhale a pint of Nivea face cream every night before bed? Listen, I'm sure some Bournemouth fans would love to believe this man will still be there in 2030. Lads, the way your club is recklessly spending money, despite having a stadium no bigger than an airport toilet, you'll be doing well to still have a club left in 2030. No, I don't think this man is going to be readying himself for his 32nd season at the club. Imagine spending 3 decades being employed by the same goddamn company. I'll be honest lads, if I'm still doing this gig in my 50s, I'll most likely jump in front of an oncoming bus. How? After a relegation with Bournemouth, and probably some years floating around the bottom half of the Premier League with a variation of newly promoted clubs, by 2030 the 52-year-old will most likely be mid-table championship standard with someone like Charlton. And if you expected something better for this highly rated young manager, again lads, 10 years ago Ian Holloway was working miracles in the Premier League. Now he's coaching a Grimsby Town, alright? Just like Kim Kardashian's dad, things can change. Graham Potter, Reading. I'll be honest, I think Graham Potter's career will be struggling for relevancy by 2030. He's not a big name in management, and while he's doing a respectable job at Brighton, turning them into quite an attractive footballing side, is he going to be able to keep his brand and name in the top flight for over a goddamn decade? If Tony Pulis couldn't do it, then sorry lad, I'm predicting a championship relegation dogfight with someone like Reading, a club he once played for on loan. Sean Dyche, Millwall. Sean Dyche is this generation's Tony Pulis, isn't he? A no-nonsense, tough-as-nails manager who sacrifices his fans' enjoyment of the game for a few extra points. Sure, watching Burnley is probably a good tonic for insomnia, but hey, this is their 6th successive season in the top flight under Dyche. He's doing a good job, but look at what happened to Pulis. After a while, Burnley fans are just gonna grow bored of this. The board will become too big for their boots. They'll want to abandon this hideously unattractive but effective style of play. Dyche will be given the boot, and so by 2030, like Pulis, his stock will have trickled down to championship mid-table mediocrity. The guy will be yesterday's man. I'll predict a return to Millwall, a club whose fans probably prepare for games by eating a bowl of broken glass. Frank Lampard, Inter Miami. Let's hope Frank Lampard doesn't accidentally stumble across this online, because Christ above, he'd probably feel like punching me in the face. Here he is in his dream job, hunting down trophies at Chelsea, and I predicted a return to the MLS. Well lads, where else is he going to go? He was given the Chelsea job at 41 years of age, working for a man who has sacked 12 managers since 2003. And some of them were Champions League winners, some of them were World Cup winners. Lampard's CV consists of a playoff defeat with Derby. Listen, Inter Miami, it makes sense. Lampard's time in New York has made him a big name in the States. He's good friends with David Beckham. Yeah, why not? By 2030, he'll be challenging for MLS titles. No doubt trying to stuff the likes of Mason Mount into his midfield, who by then, he'll be in his 30s. Roy Hodgson retired, the most obvious one in this list. If this man is still coaching in the year 2030, I will go outside and eat a stray cat live on camera. If Hodgson is still coaching at the age of 82, it will mean he's been barking orders on the sidelines for nearly 60 bastard years. Think about the state of his voice box after that. The gallons of chewing gum he would have inhaled over the previous 6 decades. His kidneys would probably feel like cement. For his own sake, I hope this man will be retired by 2030. If he was putting Harry Kane on corner kicks in his 60s, what would he be doing by 82? 2, chucking a pair of slippers up front. Carlo Ancelotti, Parma. Carlo Ancelotti really looks like he's in the last legs of his career, doesn't he? He's managed to slip from the standard of European giants to mid-table in the Premier League. This is a guy who's coached some of the best strikers to ever play the game. Now he's pinning all his hopes on the fitness of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But having said that, I think Ancelotti will just about stretch it out for another decade. The man still looks like he has a hunger for the sport. I mean, don't get me wrong, he'll be slumming in the dregs of Serie B with Parma. And if you tell me,
oh, Ancelotti is too far big a name for that. He has too much dignity and class to lower himself to Serie B.
Lads, 2 words, Brian Clough. 2-time European champion, one of the greatest managers who ever lived, ended his career stapled to the foot of the league with Nottingham Forest. Brendan Rodgers, Ajax. Yeah, I realise, okay, this is a weird one. Brendan Rodgers, Ajax? What? Lads, there is a method to my madness, alright? By 2030, Rodgers will be done with England and the Premier League, after further stints at Arsenal, Newcastle and Wolves. At 57, the lad will be into his 21st year as manager. So yeah, I'm predicting a move abroad to the Eredivisie. And why Ajax? Well, Rodgers has admitted himself, both they and Barcelona are the 2 biggest footballing clubs who've influenced his style of football, having extensively studied the likes of Johan Cruyff and Louis van Gaal. And since I can't see Barcelona ever giving him the job, then yeah, I think Ajax is a sensible matchup. Let's hope he doesn't try and copy Steve McLaren's accent. Jurgen Klopp, Real Madrid. Listen, by the time Jurgen Klopp is 62 years of age, he might have decided he's had enough, chucked in his baseball cap, before seeing out the last 20 years of his life fishing in the local pond. But no, after an upcoming sabbatical, following the end of his time at Liverpool, I'm predicting a refreshed Klopp will strap himself in for a long haul at Real Madrid. This is a club who've tried on multiple occasions to appoint the guy, and that was before he started winning European Cups. Yes, even when he's in his 60s, the lad is going to be hoovering up trophies on an annual basis, coaching a Real Madrid side stuffed with world-class talents and Kylian Mbappe, Rainier Carvalho, and you know what? Harvey Elliott. Oh, Liverpool fans are going to crucify me in the comments. Pep Guardiola, Barcelona. Listen lads, I think this one is fairly obvious. In 10 years, Pep Guardiola won't even be into his 60s. By 2030, the Klopp-Guardiola rivalry will be taking place in a 3rd country, as those 2 battle each other across the globe. Christ, by 2050, they'll probably be stuffed in the same nursing home, fighting over the last adult diaper. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Celtic. Lads, would Celtic fans even be excited with this one? Well, to be honest, considering they're about to strap themselves in for a 6th season of Neil Lennon, then yeah, probably. But I think we can all agree, Old Trafford is Ollie's ceiling. Solskjaer will wind up in the dregs of Scottish football, and the only reason it's at a club the size of Celtic is purely based on the strength of his name. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that club tried to hire a failed Manchester United manager or former Man United legend. This one sort of ticks both boxes. Steve Bruce, Habai China Fortune. Yeah. In 10 years time, when Steve Bruce is 69 years of age, you would think he'd finally called it quits and retired to plant weeds in the back garden. But no, here I am predicting him to end up out the back arse of China with Habai China Fortune. A club who by then will probably have an annual wage bill that could feed a continent. I know what you're thinking. Why, with all the money in the world, why in a pig's sweaty belly button would China ever want Steve Bruce? It's not exactly a face that's going to be plastered all over billboards downtown Beijing. Well, 2 words lads. Chris Coleman. And you know what? Steve's assistant will be his son Alex. What an underwhelming double act. Daniel Farke retired. By 2030, Daniel Farke will have retired due to a lack of interest in his football career. Okay, that was mean, but still, lads. Maybe not retired as such, but unable to get a job, definitely. In 10 years, this lad will be 53. Still relatively young, but again, I must direct you to the managers from 10 years ago. Steve Keane hasn't worked in 6 years. Gerard Houllier has been jobless in 2011. Last time I checked, Harry Redknapp was sharing a jungle tent with the f***ing Vamps. Even Mark Hughes, at just 56, is having a daily staring contest with the phone. Sorry, Farke, that is your future. Chris Wilder, Blackburn. Whenever I see people link Chris Wilder with the jobs at Arsenal and Man United, oh good Christ. Listen lads, Wilder is a decent British old school manager in the same managerial class as Pulis and Dyche, alright? Nothing more, nothing less. You know what, I think he's the heir to those lads, in flying the flag for no nonsense British coaches who'd probably headbutt their own grandmother for a win at the weekend. By 2030, he'll be a Premier League mid-table with a truly unappetizing club. Something like Blackburn Rovers. Ralph Hasenhüttl, Bayern Munich interim. Okay, don't get excited Ralph, alright? This one is a massive shot in the dark, but considering Bayern Munich seem to end up with interim coaches every 5 minutes, then yeah, by 2030 they'll have recently sacked someone like Thomas Tuchel or Joachim Low, leading to former Bayern Munich reserve Ralph Hasenhüttl being given a chance to step out of the wilderness and temporarily coach the club for about 6 months. Jose Mourinho, Portugal. Okay, let's be honest, Jose Mourinho could very well be into the last cycle of his career right now. By the age of 67, God only knows what will be left of his hair. But no, the man has always stated his desire was to one day manage his country. If I was him, I'd be jumping at the job in the next 5 years. Yes, Cristiano Ronaldo will be gone, but Diego Jota, Bernardo Silva, Ruben Neves, João Cancelo and João Felix? Good Christ, the future is bright for the Portuguese national team. Bring in a proven winner like Jose, and that country is lifting a World Cup trophy. Nigel Pearson, Mumbai City. I'm not sure why I think Nigel Pearson is destined for Indian football. Probably because it seems to be a league who will appoint literally anybody. This is a country whose club teams have appointed the likes of Steve Keane, Teddy Sheringham, Owen Coyle, based on the strength of what? It's literally a collection dump for washed up, failed British managers. David Moyes, Al Rayyan. Yeah, why not? By 2030, David Moyes will be into his mid-60s. Having tired of the annual relegation battles, he'll go abroad again, this time to hoover up insane amounts of cash out the back arse of Qatar with Al Rayyan. Just like Michael Laudrup, David Moyes is surely a big enough name in football by now to land a job out there. Nuno Espirito Santo, PSG. You know what? Why not? I think Nuno Espirito Santo is one of the most underrated managers in England right now. In 10 years, why not the top job at PSG? He's shown he can work with top class players. He's excelling every season at Wolves. Yeah, by his mid-50s, PSG manager. Alright lads, let me know. Have I got this all horribly wrong? Probably. Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.